So we invited all our model and photographer friends over, and we didn't have a living room or a dining room because we were in one of those cheap models' apartments. So we were all gathered in a circle on the floor of my bedroom. So we had pasta and wine, and then we had a couple cocktails, and people started telling jokes and stories. One of the stories I remember, one of the jokes was, how many models does it take to read a magazine? And the answer was 4. 1 to turn the pages, and 3 to look at the pictures and say, I could have done that. And we thought this was hysterical because we did this every day. We looked at magazines, we looked at the girls and said, she's not that pretty. What is she doing in the magazine? I could have done that job. So after a few more cocktails, we decided to go to the Palace, which was one of the 2 model nightclubs in Paris at the time. And these were model nightclubs because we could get free drinks and we could get in for free, so that's where all the models went because we were all broke. So we go to the Palace, about 5 of us jump in a cab, and it's just a few blocks away. So we head over to the Palace and we get inside, and I was totally drunk at this point. But you get inside and the first thing you see is a bar. So of course, I had to have another drink. And it was 1989, so being the late 80s, my favorite song was on, MC Young's Bust a Move. So I decide to bust a move straight on back to the dance floor, which is all the way at the back of the Palace. And so I'm grooving on back, dressed in yellow. She said, hello, come sit next to me, you fine fellow. And I make my way on back to the dance floor, and I wheedle right into the middle of the dance floor. I don't know where my friends are. I'm just on my own, and I'm dancing, and I'm grooving to the music, and then this guy comes up, and he starts dancing behind me, and he's got these long braids, and he's good looking, he's a good dancer, and he puts his hands on my hips, and he's thrusting his hips into mine, and gyrating, and we're dancing together, and then this other guy comes up, and he had the same long braids, lighter skin, and he starts dancing in front of me, and so the 3 of us are sandwiched, we're some sandwich between the 2 guys, and the 3 of us, we're dancing together, and NWA's Express Yourself comes on, another one of my favorite songs, so we're, spread yourself, dun, 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 dun. We're grooving, and then after a few minutes, the guy behind me, he says, you should really take dance lessons, because you dance like a white girl. And I was like, well, last I checked, I was white. But I was a little bit offended because I had been practicing in front of the mirror every night, and I thought I was pretty good. But we kept dancing, 80s dance music. So a few minutes later, I got tired, and I was hot and thirsty, and I decided to go look for my roommates and get a glass of water. So I find my roommate Lynn and her boyfriend at a table next to the dance floor, and I go sit down, and I have a couple glasses of water and order another drink, and my roommate says to me, oh, Megan, I didn't know you liked Milli Vanilli. And I said, what's Milli Vanilli? And she said, the band, ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba-baby, don't forget my number. And I said, oh yeah, oh, I love that song. Wait, so what's the name of the band, Milli what? She's like, Milli Vanilli, you've been dancing with them for the past half an hour? I said, those guys? They're a band? She's like, they're a really famous band, they're like huge right now. She said, I don't remember which one's which, but one of them's Rob and one of them's Fab. And then there's this guy I hadn't noticed sitting at the table next to us who leans over and he says, that one's Rob and that one's Fab. I'm DuPont and I'm also in the band. And I said, hi, eager to be best friends with Milli Vanilli, and scooted my chair a little closer to DuPont, and we started talking, and I didn't know what to say to a rock star, so I said, what are you doing here in Paris? And he said, well, we're going to be performing tomorrow on Canal Plus, which is Channel 4 in Paris, 2 p.m. You should watch us on TV tomorrow. So eventually my roommate and her boyfriend get up to dance, and I'm talking to DuPont, and after we order a couple more drinks, he says, we're going to be touring in Africa next month, and we need some backup singers. You should be one of our backup singers. And I said, no. You don't understand. I can't sing. And he said, oh, that's okay. You got the look, and that's all that matters. And I said, no, you don't understand. So in the 4th grade, there were 2 kids who didn't make choir, and I was one of them. And he's like, oh, it's okay, don't worry. So, of course, by then, I'm fantasizing about going to Africa as a backup singer, thinking maybe I could take voice lessons and learn how to sing. So eventually, Lynn and her boyfriend come, they say goodbye, they go home. Rob comes by, says, I'm going back to the hotel. He takes off. And I continue talking to DuPont. And after a little while, he says, you know, I have a solo album coming out, and I'd love to show you the album cover if you want to come back to my hotel with me. And I looked at DuPont, and he's about 5'8", and he's not half as good looking as Robert Fab. And he's wearing zebra print leggings. Not exactly my style. So I said, sure. And I went back to his hotel with him. So we hopped in a cab and we went back to the Four Seasons. And we get into his room and he unzips his bag and pulls out, sure enough, an album cover. And there he is. It says DuPont across the front, and he's lying on his side, all sexy with his legs splayed open, wearing his zebra print leggings. And I thought, well, okay, at least he's in the band. And we started kissing, and then he reaches for my breast. And I pushed him away, and I said, no. And he's like, what do you mean, no? You did come back to my hotel room. And I said, no, I don't want to sleep with you. That would be too easy. And he looked at me, and he thought for a second, and he said, you know, I like you. And he rolled over, and he went to sleep. So I rolled over and went to sleep too, and the next morning we had breakfast with the band, and then DuPont escorted me outside. He said he'd call me from New York the next night when he got back, and I promised him I'd watch him on Canal Plus that afternoon. So I headed home on the Metro. I stopped at the Fnac, which is like the Tower Records of Paris, and I bought the Milli Vanilli cassette tape. And I got back to my apartment and I popped that thing in my boombox and I listened to it all day long. I memorized the lyrics to every song. Baby, don't forget my number. Girl, you know it's true. I'm missing you. Blame it on the rain. All of them. And 2 p.m. I turned on the TV and there they are. Rob and Fab doing their thing. And DuPont's dancing around behind playing his guitar. And so the next day was Sunday, and he said he was going to call on Sunday. So I didn't leave the apartment the entire day. I had my telephone by my side, because there was no voicemail or cell phones back then. And I had the music playing all day long. I sat in bed reading a novel. And, that's distracting. So I was waiting, and I was praying that he would call and ask me to be a backup singer again for the tour, because I thought, I'm going to Africa, I'm going to learn how to sing, I'm going to Africa with Milli Vanilli. And he didn't call. And finally, around 8 p.m., I gave up, and I told Lynn I'm going to run down and get some cigarettes. Everyone smoked back then. So I ran down to get to the tobacco and get some cigarettes. I came back, and Lynn said, DuPont called while you were out. But he said he'd call back later. But he didn't call. I sat there with my phone and smoking my cigarettes all night, and he didn't call. And I never heard from him again. And it wasn't for another 1.5 years that we all found out that Milli Vanilli had been lip-syncing all their songs. And then it all made sense. It's okay.